everyone, it's Di here from Diane, and this week I would like to show you how I made these wiper cards. Aren't they gorgeous? This one's made with retired product, but it's still a gorgeous card. And this one is the one I made for my dad's birthday, which was on the 24th of June. So I'm sure, though I've made this video prior to that and you're seeing it after that, I think that you can see that it's a beautiful card. So I will show you what I used to make this card. Okay, I used the Whiskey Business stamp set with the bottle and the glass, excuse me, along with the cheers, which is, let me show you again, it says cheers up here, oops sorry, cheers up here. I just stamped the cheers part, and I'll show you how I did that without cutting the stamp. On the back I put Being a Dad's Whiskey Business, which is off of here, and I used the old-fashioned birthday card, that one. On the next card we do, which will be exactly the same except for I'm not going to put Being a Dad is a Whiskey Business, because he won't want a card the same next year. So I'm going to put Straight Up You're the Best on it. So I used this set here, the Tasteful Touches, for the dies. Oops, let's turn that over. My dies are in, I keep them in here. I used this die here, this beautiful cup, and the die with the flagged ends. Excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat this morning again. So those are the two stamp sets that I used. I used Memento and I used Soft Suede for my colours. And so let's go through all the pieces we need for this card. So we're going to need two card base parts to the main card. So this one measures 8 7/8 by 4 1/8, and this one measures 8 7/8 by 2 1/8. If you would like the metric measurements, you will have to go on to my Facebook group, as the written tutorial has the oh my goodness, I can't think what they're called, metric measurements on that. You will also need a layer that measures 5 5/8 by 3 7/8, and a designer series paper layer that measures 5 3/8 by 5 5/8. Now I've used the let me see what it's called again, I can't remember. Oh dear, I don't think I wrote it down. Let me look on the next page. No, I didn't write it down. But this is from the new catalogue, and I think it's called New World or something like that. I can't remember. I will put it in the direction box at the bottom. We also need, oh gosh, some of these look a bit fray along the edge here. We will also need another piece of card for the front of the card that measures 5 5/8 by 1 7/8, and a designer series paper layer that measures 5 3/8 by 1 5/8. We will need two pieces for our side panels that measure 3 7/8 by 1 1/4, along with two pieces of designer paper that measure let's see, 3 5/8 by 1 inch. And again, for the small bits on the other end, you will need two pieces of cardstock that measure 1 7/8 by 1 1/4 inches, along with two pieces of designer paper that measure 1 5/8 by 1 inch. For our writing panel on the back, you'll need another piece of card that measures 5 5/8 by 3 7/8, along with a writing panel that measures 5 3/8 by 3 5/8. We will also need, for our wiper, we're going to need a piece that measures 2 7/8 by 1 7/8, and a piece of designer series paper that measures 2 inches by 1 5/8. Half a doily. Now these doilies are now retired. We have square ones now, which I think could look just as good, but I had a couple of these left, so I used the round ones. So we only need a half a doily and a couple of bits of scrap to do all our stamping on. Okay, so let's get cracking and turn these over and move that up there so I can see what I'm supposed to be doing next. Okay, so we're going to pop our scrap bits over here for stamping, and we're going to start by bringing in our scoreboard, and we're going to score our 2 main card pieces exactly the same at the 1.5 inch mark. Let's see if I got the right end. 1.5 inch mark. No, I had the right end the first time. And the 3 inch mark. Oh my goodness, I really need to get a new tool. And then we're going to do this one as well, that measures 1.5 inches and 3 inches. And that's all our scoring done. Oh no, it's not all our scoring done. We're also going to, while we've got this here, we might as well score our wiper blade. Now with our wiper blade, we want to pop this in on the long side, and at the 3/4 inch mark just make a little mark. Now turn it over so that that mark is now on the left hand side, and along the same side mark another 3/4 inch mark, and then between those two lines make sure we line them up through our scoreboard and just put a score line through. So that's 3/4 inch in and 3/4 inch up on the same side, bottom side on the same edge, I should say, and we do our score line between the two. Now that's all our scoring done now. Get that frog out of my throat and we'll be right. So let's start by folding and burnishing our main score parts, card parts. So we're going to fold in at the second score line and out at the first one. So we have like a Z fold. And so we're going to do exactly the same with our other pairs, making sure that they line up nicely, just in case you manage to get it a little bit skew if in your score board. So that's our two. So we want one that we're going to turn over so that the score lines are the opposite way from the other one, so that when it's standing up that's how it looks, and when you've got it at the front you've got the short one with your first score line up, butts up against the edge of the paper, and the other one stands up like a step, so that this paper is exactly the same, but this is short, long, long, short. Okay, so let's pop those on one side for a minute and let's get cracking on our card. So with our base pieces, our layer pieces, we're going to layer our designer series paper onto our layer. Oh gosh, I'm having a mental blank. And we're going to do that for our other pieces as well. Now this one I did the wood grain because I wanted it to look like the top of a bar. So that's why I did the two different, and the other one with the brushed look along the back, so it looks like the back of the bar. I don't like those squiggly bits on the end there. Nothing I can do about it, unfortunately. I didn't notice it before. I will clean them up after, but I can't do it at this very moment. So I'm doing all my layers. Because it's easier if all the layers are done before I do anything else. Sorry about the dog barking in the background. She's outside and she doesn't like it when somebody drives past. Oops. And I'm also going to put my designer pen paper onto the top of my wiper blade. Now it doesn't matter which, excuse me, it doesn't matter which is the top, I don't think, from memory. Yes it does. When you put your designer series paper on here, you must make sure that your score line, which is here, is on your left hand side. So putting your designer paper on here is absolutely optional, but we want to make sure it's nice on those three sides. This piece down the bottom here you're not going to see because it's past the score line. So if you can see that score line in there, just there, so, and my designer paper is above it. Okay, so we've done that piece. We're going to fold this piece backwards and then bring it forward as well. That way it's nice and loose, which is what we need. Excuse me, my fingers are sticky. So we're going to start with our main piece of our card, making sure that our long piece is on our left hand side and our two short pieces are on the right hand side. And we're going to then glue our layers onto our card base. Along with our two long strips down these sides here. Oh my goodness, I'm having everything's going where it wants to go on its own today. Everything has a mind of its own. And that's the back, except for the writing panel, that's the back side of our card. The inside of our card, I guess you could call it, done. Now with that sitting there and our other piece here, we need to do this the opposite way around. We want our two small pieces here and a long piece on this side. So we're going to put our layer panels onto the main part of this card. Now you have to remember if you have using a directional paper, that you get your directions of your card the correct way if you want it to look like it all flows. And that's our other layer on. So when they're together now, they're going to look like so. Like that. Okay. So now what we're going to do is, let me move that panel out of the way. We're going to take our main panel, and it doesn't matter really which is the top and the bottom. I guess you just turn it that way or that way. Oh, I guess it's the top both the ways. So at the top edge, we're going to now turn the top edge so the top edge is now at where you're sitting. So your top edge is here. This is the bottom. If you wish to write on the back here, you can. Just put a T here so that you know that's the top. That's not going to get seen, so we don't even need to worry about rubbing it off, but we can do if we wish. We're going to take our piece of wiper card and we're going to fold with it facing upwards we're going to fold our corner under, and we're going to pop glue on that corner. Want to make sure that it's going to stick really, really well, and we're going to glue this, and it might seem silly, up against close to this edge here, close but not over, and close to the top, but again not over. And we're going to then push that down nice and hard. We can lift it up and we can pop that, making sure. We can also, if we want to, we can rub this T out here, but just so that you know that that's the top of the card. That's all that is. So when it sits in the card now, it will be up and it will slide down. See how it will slide up and down inside the card now. So now we're going to glue the two pieces of the card together. Now I find it easier just to lay the whole thing flat and pop some glue on this very first scored short piece, and then lay this on top of the other card and line it up with the side and the bottom so that they are nice and square, and glue that down hard. With the other side, I just like to use a pencil, and I just lift this a little bit and just put a little mark below that so that you can see there's a mark there. So I know this score line here, and from that pencil mark down to put some glue. And then I can fold that back over and square this side up as well. Nice and tight down on that side, making sure it's beautiful and square on both sides. And now our card will wiper. How gorgeous does that look? If you want your wiper shorter, you can actually cut it down, but I like it nice and tall so that it sits up at the back there. So when it wipes, it comes up and bounces out at you. That's our main card done. We are now going to glue our half a doily on, which is, I'm going to glue it onto this front panel here, so that I'll do that so that it can dry, because we can only put a little bit of glue around this one while it's can't even see very well today. The sun's in my eyes, which is nice considering it's winter time, that we've got some beautiful sunshine. And where's my tweezers? And I'm just going to glue that into place up against that top edge here of our front part of our card. And that can sit there and dry while we carry on with the rest of our card. Let me just pop the pin in my ink so that glue so that it doesn't go a bit funny. So we're going to stamp our back panel, and I'm going to stamp that using soft suede and saying straight up, you're the best. Along with just one of the glasses from the whiskey business as well. I'll let that dry a bit before we colour that in, so I'll pop that one out of the way. And we now need our scrap pieces. Excuse me. And we need to stamp 2 glasses and I stamped these in brown. Doesn't matter, I could have stamped them in memento, but I didn't. And 1 bottle. So that's our bottles and things done. And now we're going to stamp our other sayings, which says have an old-fashioned birthday, which I'm going to stamp up this end because we're going to cut that out. And as you know, I already have cut mine out because I don't bring my big shot into the picture. And then I will show you how I did this cheers. So I brought in my sticky tape, and I grabbed a little bit of sticky tape and pop that back over there out of the way. Excuse my arm in the way. And I've put that across to you. I've popped that across the word to you, and I'm going to stamp my cheers now. And then when I know that it's nicely inked up, I will then pull my sticky tape off and throw in the rubbish bin. Let's try if I can do that without getting glue sticky all over my fingers. And then I will stamp my cheers in the middle down the bottom here. And as you can see, I have just cheers on my piece of card. So let's move my ink out of the way so I don't ink everything up. And I will show you that I used oops, come out of there. Now they're stuck in there. This one for the sending old fashioned, and this one for my cheers to you. So I will do those, and we do know who's going to get those. So I'll just pop them on the top because I'll do them after I finish my video. So I'll pop them over there, and I have those already done just here. Now with my glasses and bottle, I need my, wherever I've done with that, oh here it is, my dark Mango Melody blender pen. And I'm going to colour in just where the whiskey line is of in the bottle. Now you could do this with your marker pens if you wanted to. I just found that it was just easier because I had it on hand. So I'm going to do the bottle and the two glasses like so. Unfortunately there's no dies for these, so I have had to hand cut them. So I fussy cut them out after I'd coloured them in. So we have another set here that will go to Mum as well, because I will fussy cut them out after, as I have a set here already fussy cut out. How gorgeous is that? Look at that, it's even got a bit of a book on that bit. There we go. So I have those sitting there already done nicely, and so what we're going to do here with, we're going to bring in our ink pad again, and I'm just going to lightly go around the edges of my birthday greeting, just to take that stark whiteness off, because I mean if it was a bar it would look a bit, could look a bit grungy. So just very very lightly around the edges of my cheers. And same around my base. Oh, I didn't colour in my glass on the back of this, so we'll do that in a second after I finish rubbing around the edges here. Get that look as if you're in an old scungy bar. It might have a few cobwebs on the ceiling, like an old Australian country pub. Some of those can look quite scungy, but they're very warming places. Okay, so that's that done. Let's colour in that glass. Which doesn't take very long at all, thank goodness. And then we'll do our assembly. So we're going to pop our writing panel onto the back of our other layer, and then oh excuse me, I'm really frogging today. I think it's just this idea that it's still winter time yet the sun's shining. And pop that onto our card base. Oh, on the back. Oh, got a piece of card without any colour in it just there. It's pigmented. And pop that onto the back of the card, pushing it into place nicely. So we have a lovely writing panel on the back of our card that says straight up, you're the best. And onto the front of the card we're going to use some dimensions, which I have here, that go onto the back of the old-fashioned birthday. And I'm going to pop that up as a little bar sign in the back of the card just over here, along with putting my bottle over here. And I'm going to pop it more over to the one side, so I'm going to put some mini dimensions around the top here. Now I've got to make sure I put it on the right side. We don't want them to be in the wrong spot. And then a couple more normal ones just down here. And along the bottom there. And the reason I've done that is because this piece is going to be off the edge, so we don't want anything along this edge here. So let's pull those dimensions off of that one. Oops. In them. And we'll pop this one on here. I'm going to pull my wiper out and I'm going to put my cheers on here with a couple of dimensions as well. Now I don't want it too close to the edge. Oh, I guess it doesn't really matter. It's not like it's hanging over. But I use the mini ones because they're a little bit narrower, so if this sticks up higher it's not going to hurt. Now I'm going to pop this on an angle, I think, like so, along with one of these beautiful in colour enamel dots in the cinnamon cider colour, which I think, oh, that was stuck to my finger. Look, actually gorgeous, just stuck there like that. I'm then going to pop my other glass up on a dimension in here, and I'm just going to trim off these where the paper must have torn a little bit when I was cutting around it. So the glass goes in here, and our other glass I'm going to pop on a bit of glue on it and make it flat, so not everything is stuck up in the air. That will sit just below the doily, and that is my card. Now, what did I do with the pin? I've lost the pin again. There we go, pop my pin in my glue. There is our card. How gorgeous is that? I'm going to put a bit of Winker Stella over my, let's get the lid off, over my bottle so that it shines a bit, and it will look like it's a bottle, along with my glass and this glass over here as well, which will give it that look of being a bit shinier like a real glass does. Okay, that's our card for today. I hope you've enjoyed that. You can just see that Winker Stella, just a tiny little bit on there. It just brings out a sparkle in the card. How gorgeous is this card, and how easy was that to make? I hope you've enjoyed today's card. If you would like the written tutorial for this, please head over to my Facebook group, which is DIE stands for Stamping, Crafting and Tutorials, and you will find the written tutorial, which is written in inches as well as metric sizing, along with some photographs of how it was done. And please join in the group. It's free and it's fun. If not, I will see you again next week, and please give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this week's project, and a comment. I'd love to hear from you. So I'll see you again next week. Bye for now.